It's now my privilege to introduce our commencement speaker. Over the course of its history, Centenary has had commencement speakers from many walks of life. We've had national dignitaries, we've had politicians, we've had doctors and lawyers and educators and philanthropists. But in recent years, we have, not every year, but we've begun having, I think, a really fun group of commencement speakers to come to us. And those are people that are relatively recent graduates that have become established in their fields that are still walking this journey that you're starting today. It's been so gratifying to see these people as they have taken what they've learned at Centenary and gone on to amazing new triumphs. Our speaker today is no exception to that. I'm pleased to introduce Dr. Mamina Turegano. She graduated from Centenary in 2005. She had a distinguished career here on campus. You can read her bio on the back of your program. I'm not going to repeat all of that. Just a couple of highlights. She was a Centenary lady. She was the homecoming queen. She was a Centenary pace setter. We inducted a new class of pace setters last night. She was a proud member of Zeta Tau Alpha. I know, Zetas, you want to cheer. Go ahead. She was a DJ at our radio station, KSCL. She was a member of the Student Government Association. She was a Maroon Jacket and was inducted into the Omicron Delta Kappa National Leadership Fraternity. And she was also a resident assistant, which is really important because my wife was a resident assistant when I met her, so that's a great training ground. She has gone on to, as you read in your program, wonderful educational pathway, trajectory, and is now a very widely noted professional doctor, dermatologist in New Orleans, and also has a massive online following, trying to make sure people have good advice, not whatever comes across their screen from somebody random. We're so pleased to have her back on campus. It is my pleasure. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Mamina Turegano.
Turegano. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Wow. To the faculty, staff, and administration of Centenary, thank you for this incredible honor. I truly did not see this coming, which honestly is the whole theme of this speech. I also want to give a quick shout out to some of the professors and staff who shaped my time here 21 years ago. Dr. Tisich, Dr. Brandel, Dr. Cheerhart, Dr. Volkamir, Dean Mark Miller, Chris Brown in the archives. Some of you taught me, some of you worked alongside me, and all of you helped shape my time at Centenary in ways I still carry with me. Seeing you today feels incredibly full circle. To the families in this room, the ones who showed up, stayed up, and sacrificed and believed, this day belongs to you. I gotta get together, okay, I just started. 21 years ago, my parents sat where you are sitting. My mom is here today, and I want her to know that everything I am is because of her. And I wish everything in me that my father were alive to be here. He would have loved this, so this one's for him too. And to the class of 2026, congratulations. I graduated from Centenary in 2005, so I've had 21 years to think about what I'd say if I ever stood here. And what I keep coming back to isn't advice about careers or 5-year plans. It's something simpler and harder than that. Give. Give without knowing the ending. So I came to Centenary as a music major, focusing in piano performance. So think about what that actually means. To study piano seriously is to commit to something that will never fully cooperate with you. You sit at an instrument for hours, every day, for years, working on passages that take weeks to feel right. You are learning a new language. Music is a language, one with its own grammar, its own logic, its own way of reaching people that words simply cannot. And here's what nobody told me. Everything that I was building at that piano bench, I was going to carry into a career I hadn't even chosen yet. The discipline of practicing the same measures 50 times until it finally clicked, that became how I approached studying medicine. The resilience of performing in front of people and falling short and going back to practice anyway, that's how I survived residency. The troubleshooting, the lateral thinking, the ability to sit with something hard and not give up, that transferred to every difficult patient, every complex diagnosis, every problem that didn't have an obvious answer. It made me a better listener, a more patient mother, a more precise clinician. I didn't actually finish as a music major, I switched paths, but I gave myself fully to that craft while I was in it, and it paid off in ways that I never could have predicted. And that's exactly my point. Oh, I grew up in circumstances that don't usually make it into graduation speeches. My childhood was unconventional in ways that shaped me deeply. I was raised in, I guess you would call it an interesting religious group, one that some people would call a cult. And we grew up in poverty, living in communes, in a world that was very separate from the one most of my peers knew. When I was in middle school, I was sent to boarding school in Seoul, South Korea, far from home, far from anything familiar, figuring out who I was in a language and culture that was not entirely my own. By the time I got to Centenary, I knew how to survive, but what I hadn't learned yet was how to give fully without keeping score, without knowing what would come back. But Centenary taught me that. I arrived here as a clean-cut, Abercrombie-wearing nerd, and somewhere along the way, I turned into this slightly androgynous, quirky hipster, very much still figuring out myself. But somewhere in those 4 years, I made it my quiet mission to know everyone's name. Every person I passed, every classmate, every staff member, every face in the hallway, I decided I was going to treat this place like it was family. Look people in the eye, learn their names, make them feel seen. Not for any reason, not for any reward. I honestly don't even really know what my intention was, but I felt like it was the right way to show up. I did not know that it would make me Centenary lady or pace setter. I did not know that it would lead me to being homecoming queen. I did not see any of that coming. I was just giving in the smallest, most ordinary way I knew how. And the return on that was something I never could have planned. I carried that same approach into medical school. Just do my best. I focused in residency. I gave everything I had to learning, not because I had a strategy, but because that was the only way I knew how to show up. I didn't expect to become board certified in 3 different specialties. I just gave my all. Then something happened that I really didn't expect. I started sharing what I know about skin health, about the science, about what we put on our bodies or in our bodies, about the root causes instead of the quick fixes. I started teaching online, on social media, openly and freely, because I genuinely wanted people to understand their own skin and their overall health. And then somehow, unexpectedly, that generosity expanded my world. 2 million followers, global campaigns with huge celebrities, companies I built from scratch. None of that was the plan. I went to medical school to be a doctor, and somehow, through generosity, it became so much more. So you are leaving here today, and some of you know exactly what you want. Most of you don't. And I want to speak to both groups at once. It doesn't matter. What matters is this. Whatever you walk into next, give your absolute all. Not because the return is guaranteed, not because you can see the destination, but because the act of giving fully, pouring yourself into your work, into the people around you, into problems worth solving, is what opens doors you didn't know existed. Think about what I just described. A girl at a piano bench practicing scales with no idea she was building a doctor. A slightly awkward college student learning everyone's name with no idea she was building a life. That's not a career strategy. That's character development. You build the person first, and that person opens doors. Every musician, every athlete, every person who has ever committed completely to something without a guaranteed outcome wasn't just building a skill, they were building a self. The discipline transfers, the resilience transfers, the capacity to sit with difficulty and not quit, that transfers to everything. And I want to be clear about one thing. The generosity that I'm talking about is not depletion. It's not giving until you're empty. It's giving from a place that fills you as you do it. When it comes from that place, it doesn't drain you, it multiplies. Here's what nobody tells you, though. The greatest returns on generosity don't come from your career. They come from your relationships. I've achieved things professionally that the version of me sitting in your seat could not have imagined, and I am grateful, genuinely. But what has actually changed my life? My relationships. My husband, my sons, my parents, my siblings, my friendships, the people who shaped me, who held me when the hard chapters arrived, and the people I have had the privilege to hold in return. My mom is here today, and I'll tell you something, she's actually part of the reason why I blew up on social media. Not because she taught me marketing or strategy, not at all, but because she would share these really funny, like sometimes this unconventional, quirky Japanese anti-aging tips and rituals that she swore by, and I started sharing them online, and people loved it. But looking back, I think what people were responding to was something deeper. My mom shared herself freely, her wisdom, her care, her curiosity, and she modeled generosity so completely, so consistently, her entire life, that by the time I finally learned how to give, I realized she had been teaching me all along, and I was just following her lead. Mom, thank you. You are in everything I do. And happy early Mother's Day. So, and you want to know how this speech actually got written? 3 a.m., I was nursing my 3-month-old, and when he finished, I put him down and I pumped extra milk, literally giving of myself in the most physical way possible, in the dark, with no audience, for someone who will not remember it and cannot thank me yet. That is giving without knowing the ending. That is the whole speech right there. The world will tell you to optimize your career, build your brand, scale your impact. And some of that is real, but don't let it crowd out the unglamorous, irreplaceable work of showing up for the people who love you. Give in your relationships the way you give in your work, completely, without keeping score, without knowing what comes back. That is where the dividends are the highest. That is ultimately what life is made of. The beauty of life is not knowing the ending. You don't need to know what you'll become. You don't need a perfect plan. What you need is to become the person through every act of giving, every craft you commit to, every name you take the time to learn, every moment you show up fully when you didn't have to. You are not just building a career. You are building yourself. And that self will take you places no plan ever could. 21 years from now, you will look back and see how everything, even the parts that were painful, even the parts that were so freaking hard, how that was all leading somewhere. The most important moments will trace back to giving of yourself. A late night studying, I've had many of those. A conversation you didn't have to have. A relationship you chose to invest in. A craft you loved without knowing where it would lead. Go give something only you can give. Your specific gifts, your specific voice, your specific way of showing up in the world. Because no one else can give what you carry. You do not need to know the ending to begin. You just need to give fully to what's in front of you and trust that piece by piece, you are becoming someone. Centenary, class of 2026, congratulations. Now, go give.
I need to do just a little bit of cleanup. Thank you. It was wonderful, obviously. I apologize to our speaker for